I was like, yeah, your time is currency. And if you don't know your worth, or if you don't know your value, or if you don't know your purpose, anybody can put a value on your time. That's why you make X amount of dollars per hour. Or you make X amount of salary per year. And I talk about time because social media, the first thing people think when social media, it is so time consuming. That's all how many tabs I had up there. And I play with all of those tabs throughout the day. So that's what they've probably been up there for about 2-3 months. They're not going anywhere. The information may change, but those tabs aren't going anywhere. So what I mean by that, we're all sitting here learning. We're investing in ourselves. You're giving me your time. I'm giving you an amazing Elijah's knowledge and wisdom, Joseph's knowledge and wisdom, my knowledge and wisdom, and the awesomeness of Stratford University for giving us this amazing facility. So, in order to get uncomfortable, I got an exercise for us. A lot of people say that I'm in my comfort zone or I step outside of my box. The hardest thing for people to do is to accept, to receive a compliment. And this is the thing, we can't walk away from here without receiving the gifts and blessings that the people have laid. And PowerPoint presentations, I'm not a big fan of PowerPoints. I know it takes time to put them up. Being able to recite what he recited and show off his business and market and prepare. He prepares his own speeches. So he took time and effort to put it into what y'all have going on. Put it into y'all business. So this exercise, Randy said, raise your hand. Everybody raise your hand. Randy, you're number 1. Hamid, yep. Number 2. Elijah, number 1. Miss Cole's number 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I need all the 2s to pick somebody. That's a 1. And I need for you to give them a compliment, a genuine compliment. And the number 1, all the thing I want you to do is say, thank you. Don't try to compliment back. Don't look for something to say about them. Just say, thank you. I received that. So y'all remember y'all numbers? I think I need my 2s to find the number 1 right now. This is an interactive. Y'all not glued to your seats.
You want to move?
Yeah, I want y'all to move now. I need a 2 to find the 1. This is like musical chairs minus the music.
That might too.
No, you can't come in with the person. That's not stepping outside your comfort zone. That's cheating. You can't. I can't. You're not removing yourself out of your comfort zone.
I'm a 2. You're a 2. I'm a 1.
Brooke, get out your comfort zone.
I
already all about that.
You want?
Hey, what number is it?
1. I know. How you guys?
Yes, sir. I'll take Joseph and Randy.
Yeah, you was supposed to take it, you weren't supposed to say nothing.
So you're gonna be with Brooke, right?
Brooke is gonna
He didn't want me to be with the same person I came with.
Well, I just had to say because it's one different time. But the 2s are to compliment the 1s. And the 1s are to say
My God,
I had to.
watch the, I don't know how much you watch Cartoon Network, so you watch the 3 Bears.
We're in a safe place.
You play these sports or
I'm
not?
still back there at that number exercise.
Actually, she said something about the mobile app. I texted her because he's out of state right now. People seeing it blowing up. So, I have like 41 subscribers right now.
Is it going in the middle school?
About any
Why are you
We're gonna be wrapping the exercise up. Quick question. Y'all definitely look good. Thank you, bro.
I'm hanging in there, Uncle Manny. Oh.
So, how many of us felt uncomfortable receiving the compliment? My receivers. You be honest? How many of us felt uncomfortable receiving? So, and the reason that I do this exercise is to show people how mentally you block your blessings. If you can't receive a compliment from somebody who you just met them, so they can't judge you. You can't receive the blessings that God is giving to you. Because this is the thing, I say, God, I'm not a religious person, I'm a very spiritual person. But I say this because when that window opens, when you decide to make a choice to be a successful business owner, it comes with some uncomfortable things. You have to be in circles where you may be the only male, or you may be the only black person, or you may be the only Caucasian. Like I saw like 1 or 2 Caucasians in the African American Chamber of Commerce. I was like, what is this? I was shocked. I could see nothing wrong with it, but I wasn't expecting it. So in order to us to succeed in life and everything that we do, we have to get comfortable receiving. And the easiest way to do it is to interject faith and enthusiasm in everything you do. I'm on this enthusiasm challenge where every time I call somebody, hey Joseph, when I call you, what I say to you?
What's up, financially free family?
Every time I call him, because I'm speaking truth into his life. So I say all that because I didn't have many people speaking truth into my life. I didn't have many positive, productive role models and association in my life. Like, I was the best person in my circle. And I was making $18 an hour as a customer service manager for Xerox. Oh, I was. I thought I was. Time and a half on the weekend. That being said, when that job was taken away from me, I'm not saying it wasn't to my fault of my own. It's my associations, the things that I did prior to. I had got in trouble with the law, and I was looking at 6 years in prison, 2 years prior to me losing my job. And I'm sitting in prison, Richmond City Jail, not the new fancy smancy Richmond City Jail, the old one, where there's 45, 60 men in a tier, and you got a sheriff that's like 2-3 floors away from you, where you're eating slop. And I'm sitting in jail looking at 6 years in prison, 4 kids, my girlfriend, my wife, she's my wife now, but she was my girlfriend at the time. We were going through some rocky things, trouble at home with my mom, and none of my friends, people that I grew up with, none of them was there to be found. So I sat down, this is the first time I prayed to God for anything in my life. And I asked him, if you get me out of here, you have a disciple. More so in a manner to save the people economically and let them know spiritually you can achieve success that way as well. That's a key cog in order to achieve anything in life. So long story short, God turned 6 years into 6 days. He turned a felony into a misdemeanor. Y'all can clap for that. But he turned that to a misdemeanor, and I've been on fire. But it's been from selling cell phone cases to pocketbooks to hair extensions. I wanted to sell it all. And it all ended up, the last couple things I was doing was social media marketing and speaking. And I'm like, I only had about I had about 1,300 friends on Facebook, and about 97% of them wasn't good prospects for anything in life. And then I had about 127 friends on LinkedIn. I didn't tweet because the Twitter was all them hashtags and RTs, they blew my mind. And this one, Instagram, had just came out, so I think I probably had about 75 friends on Instagram. And I looked at social media as a way to waste time until I became a social media marketer, until I started to figure out, how are they charging so much? Because when you know your value and worth on your time, you can charge whatever you want. Good, right, wrong, or indifferent. So understanding that, I wanted to bring an affordable tips and tricks to the social media world. So it was an on-the-job training. I would get a client or two and I'd be like, you know what, I'm not getting anything done with my speaking. So I would help them succeed and I'll push them off. Because I didn't feel like I was worthy enough to have their service. So bring it back, fast forward to where we are now. I have launched my speaking career. I went from not speaking outside of my wife, I talked her head off when I started learning all this information and knowledge. I mean, up into 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, like I couldn't go to sleep because the knowledge in my mind, it kept running. Like I would dream about the books that I was speaking. I would dream about social media, LinkedIn, who's viewing my profile, because that was what I was pouring into me. I went from speaking to my wife to having over 15 speaking engagements since October. And I got another 3 on the way because I made the decision to be a speaker. And it was up to me to be visible, to receive it. There's 3 things that equal profits in business. It's visibility equals credibility, which turns into profitability. Visibility equals credibility, which turns into profitability. Like, people see Elijah when he walks in a room, they're like, okay, who is he assisting? Until he commands the stage. That comes with confidence in doing it over and over again. So, bring it back to social media. I have social media, all these social media sites, Facebook, YouTube, Google, all being well over 2 billion active users. These are people who are on it 1, 2, 3, 4 times a day. I have that Generation Y up there because I'm part of Generation Y. If you're under the age of 35, you're part of Generation Y. Sorry, Elijah, you're part of Generation Z. Nothing wrong with that. Anybody under the age of 17 is Generation Z. But I put them close together, and I knew that I was going to be speaking to business owners because we need to bridge the gap between the generations if we're going to have any substantial change in your profession, in your foundation, and especially in your social media. I hear people all the time shut down Generation Yers, millennials, because all they do is social media. All they know how to do is post and retweet and hashtag. But you know what I did? I integrated the social aspect of saying, how's it going, Randy? It's a pleasure to meet you. So that's an amazing handshake right there. Amazing handshake. I integrated the personality into my social media. Go to the next slide, please. Most of the problems that come into business falls in one of those 3 areas. The people, the process, or the product. How many of us ever watched, what's the show? What's the show you put me on, Manny? With Marcus Lemon?
The Prophet.
The Prophet. Wherever he goes and talk about the people, the process, and the product. If you look at the points, not enough time for social media, I mentioned that. Activity isn't yielding results, and the new relationships are profit. You know what? I've been posting on social media for 7 days straight, and no one's liking my stuff. I'm wasting my time. You know what? Facebook is broken. Facebook is not broken. Y'all see they added a monetary figure to the little chat box? You can send money through instant messaging now. Yes. Yes. They're afraid of rejection and in turn unable to ask for the sale. The answer is always no if you don't ask for the sale. This confidence that I have now, I tell my wife, she's lucky she met me after the age of 25 because I was really, really good at talking to females. That's it. And playing video games. I had no additional urge to be really good at anything else. I mean, I maintained a job because I had to, but there was nothing else that I could share with anybody. So when I started my own business, I had to read business books. They said success leaves clues. There have been hundreds of thousands of years of clues been left in books, DVDs, YouTubes, audios. What are you spending your time pouring into yourself? If you're not selling your business, how are you growing your business? I hear people say, you know what, I graduated college, there's no more time for books. I'm not reading another book another day in my life. I just finished my dissertation. I will never read another book. When you stop growing, you start dying. And one of the things I learned, if you don't ask for the sale, you'll never get it. Never. And the reason most people don't feel comfortable about asking for the sale because they don't feel like they deserve it. I'm not worthy enough. Like Joseph said, you know what? I write that book when after I'm in business for 15 years. After I make 200,000, then I'll get the credibility. No, you get the idea and thought to write the book, write the book. You get the idea and thought to start a foundation, start a foundation. You get the thought, the idea to brush your teeth in the morning, brush your teeth. It's not a thought, an idea. You've been doing it so long, it becomes a habit. Next slide, please. Social media done right. I'm going to be talking about can you next slide? I'm going to be talking about the power of automation in attractive markets. Who of us know what automation is? Raise your hands. How many of us know what automation is? How many of us are utilizing automation in your business? How many of us utilizing automation in your personal life? You gotta think about it. Do you got a robot brushing your TV light? But automation is the power to leverage your time with either an application or with another person or with a program or algorithm. Do you know that Mark Zuckerberg makes $12,000 for every friend you have? Every 100 friends you have. Sorry about that. You know why? Because out of your 100 friends, at least 75 or 80 of them are going to like something that's pertaining to advertising. So advertisers pay him $12,000. That's why if any of y'all play certain games or if y'all into personal development, you scroll through your timeline, you'll see how to brand yourself. Or how many of us saw that Les Brown is be here next month? I'm a person who, I'm a speaker, so a lot of my likes, the people that I follow on social media are wrapped around speakers or business owners. And that thing popped up on my timeline every day. And that's automation. I'm gonna share tools with y'all today that will allow you to run your social media and grow your social media while you're sleeping. Like my Instagram is running right now and I'm talking to y'all. The other thing we're gonna talk about is attractive marketing. How many of us have ever heard, you know what? I don't wanna be around that person because they're killing my vibe. You ever felt that you've been around a negative person that all they talk about is just either how the world is coming to an end. Like I can't even sit and listen to a pastor that's talking about condemnation. Like I can't listen to another husband talk about how much he hates being married because I love being married. I can't listen to a parent talk about how much they can stand their kids. And I have one of these. Actually, I have 5 of these. But how can you talk about how your children are so, just your life just sucks so bad? Sorry, Mom. Yeah. And the reason that I said that is because I'm sorry, Mom. The term, you are a person that is usually the average of your 5 closest friends. Doesn't matter if it's financially, spiritually, economically, that's what your character is built up of. And so I decided to attract people that were of like mind. I have about 15 journals. I finished about over 20 books in the past year. I'm in between about 4 or 5 of them. And I look back in my journals, and the stuff that I wrote down and the people that I wanted to meet, have a Joseph in my life, have a Dan in my life, have a Brooke in my life. Met an awesome Ashley. Most of these people in here were attracted in some way, shape, form, or fashion. we share the commonality. So I told you the amount of people that I had. Now, my social media is well over 10,000 followers between LinkedIn, Instagram, 2 Facebook accounts, about 3 Instagram accounts, and I'm in 14 different countries. Not just being in those countries and I don't have any type of influence. I just had a Skype call with a lady from the UK who's a motivational speaker who looks up to me. And I sat down and I told her my story, and I'm like, I look up to you. You have 10,000 plus followers, and 90% of them are in the US, and we share like minds about positivity, but I'm connected to the UK. And that's through the power of social media. How many of us know that we're in a global economy? That's why the dollar and the price of milk are getting further and further apart. The fact that it costs the same amount that somebody can spend for a $12 an hour rate, pay somebody, they can send it to Mexico, they can send it to India, they can send it to Uruguay, and pay them $5 an hour. Because of the way that the internet and the way that social media and the way that the market has become. So I'm about to let y'all see a short video that I produced and made. I hope y'all, oh, pause it. Go back, brother.
My bad. I am. We set?
Yeah.
All right.
I made this video after for two reasons. One of the reasons is because prior to me starting this journey, I knew nothing about production or finding an app that can do this. All those pictures and videos that you saw was done through my social media. They were my Instagram posts, I just found a way to combine them. Actually, by the way, that's iMovie for all my Apple users. iMovie is an amazing app. But everything that y'all seen on that screen is what I embody. Those authors, those quotes, I ended it with Les Brown talking about you want to be able to change the outside world, you have to start with yourself. There's no enemy if there's no enemy within. So, connect, follow, interact, and consistency. One of my key points that I want to drive home with social media, it is a system. Anything you do in life, it's a system. You go to school, it's a school system. They have the public school system, they have the parochial school system. You go to work, there's a system. And my partner was talking about network marketing. That's what I learned about the system. When you locate a system, you want to tap into that system and try to put your own spin on it. But you have to learn the steps and procedures. So, connecting. What is network marketing? What is networking? Randy, what's networking to you?
Networking is connecting with other like minds and sharing businesses.
Okay. Ashley, what is interacting properly in your eyes? Properly. How about we go back to when we had lunch?
Okay.
Did I interact properly with you?
Yeah.
Was the conversation calm? Did I make you feel comfortable?
Yes.
Did we meet, how many times did we meet prior to that? Maybe once?
Once.
Yes. But we sat and talked for, yes, I knew about your brother-in-law, your sister. Like, we broke down that barrier of, you know what, I'm a young African-American, you know what, she's an older Caucasian. You know what, I'm a male.
Wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
Wait a minute, Eric.
No, I'm more sophisticated, well-rounded, seasoned. My apologies. We broke down the barriers of masculinity and femininity. It was gone. And that's because we connected properly. I didn't just say, you know what, Ashley, here's my business. I don't care about your business.
We had personal disclosure.
We did. And that last one, how can you stay consistent? Dan, how can you stay consistent? Any form of your life, it doesn't have to just be business.
Genuine authenticity.
I like that. Can you be genuine and authentic every day? Agreed. Go to the next one. This is another awesome YouTube.
Hello there, Roger Metcalf. How are you, Beryl?
Actually, it's Betty.
Yes, of course. Having a good time, are you? Yes,
yeah.
meeting lots of interesting people. I've spoken to dozens of people today, I can tell you, and given out lots of cards, in fact, yes. So tell me, Barbara, what do you do then?
Actually, it's Betty.
Yes, I'm a marketing executive, you know, working a lot with blue chip companies at the moment and making quite an impression in the States, I can tell you, yes.
Well, that sounds very interesting.
Yes, it is.
I'm in marketing too.
Well, that's
You know,
marvelous, Beryl. I'm sure my business could help you. Yes, in fact, we're helping so many businesses at the moment, you can't afford to miss out. Look, let me give you my card.
Oh.
Give me a call sometime, and I'm sure we can do business.
Actually, could I give you my card?
Oh, yes, of course. There, thank you. Yes, you know, if you're spending money on marketing, Beryl, then I'm your man.
Well, it sounds very interesting, this marketing. So tell me, what exactly...
Go over there. Oh, a multi-million-pound player, I can tell you. Have to give him my card.
Nice meeting you too.
How many of us that has happened to them?
Richmond, Virginia.
That was me right there.
No, that was not you, Dan. That was not a shot at you. You're not an Englishman. I don't think I've ever seen you wear a tie. How many of us that has happened to? Where you feel like, you know what, that person heard nothing that I said. Just threw up on you. Just so excited to just give you their business card. They forget your name. They forget what you do. They're thinking about what to say next instead of listening. I had to learn, that used to be me. Like, I was on that mission. I heard you say your name. I heard you say your business, but my mind is wrapped around, you know what, how can I get $1 out of this person? How can they fit in my business? So when you remove the fact that, you know what, I'm not going to think about me. Whenever I'm networking, I ask as many engaging questions about that person. Because one of the first things you have to find out is if they have a problem that you can solve, or someone in your network can solve. And there's no way that you can do that if you don't ask them questions. So in that process, it's not just online, at networking events. That's the same thing that you have to do with LinkedIn, with Instagram. I don't care if Instagram just shows pictures. You have the option to comment with as many characters as you like. Treat your social network the same way if you would treat a live network. Yes, I have over 10,000 people in my network. Do I personally know all of them? No. But will I? Yes. I personally send out messages periodically to people to either look at some of my posts, look at some of my videos, to ask them about their dreams and ambitions,